Good afternoon and welcome back to the Engerati studios here at European Utiliy Week. I'm Claire Falkvane, editor of Metering International. And with me I have Helmut Edelmann, who is the Director of Utilities from EY. Helmut, thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. Now, there's been quite a lot in the news just recently around Germany, German smart meter rollout, that kind of thing. I was wondering if you could possibly, just for the purpose of context, give us some background information in terms of the European Union directives around smart meters, please.
Yeah, sure, I can. The EU has published a directive in 2009, and they oblige all the EU member states to roll out smart meters, smart metering systems. By 2020, 80% of each of the household customers should have a smart metering system. But on the other hand, if a country came to the decision it doesn't make really sense for us to make a full-scale rollout, they could conduct a cost-benefit analysis in which they could examine the right approach for the country. And that is what we have done for Germany.
How does the German market differ from that to Europe and, say, the rest of the world? You were telling me that it has some differences that are unique to the German market itself.
Yeah, absolutely. German, I think, is different to most markets, not only in the electricity sector, but especially in the electricity sector. First of all, we have a very fragmented market. We have more than 900 distribution companies. They are responsible for the metering business. But on the other hand, we have also a liberalized metering market. I think only the UK and Germany are liberalized metering markets in Europe. That means that the metering market is still dominated by the regulated network companies. 97% of the metering points are operated by the distribution company, but 3% are operated by non-regulated metering companies, by competitive metering companies. And that makes it quite difficult to find the right approach to have a mandatory rollout of smart metering systems on one hand, on the other hand to improve business competition in the metering business. That's one point. Another point I would like to mention is, I think it's especially in contrast to the US, we do not have vertical integrated utilities. We have the unbundling requirements. That means the different steps of the value chain are separated, and they have to operate separately.
Okay, so when the news broke that Germany had decided not to go with the EU directives and that the cost-benefit analysis wasn't what everybody had hoped it would be, the implication in the popular press was that Germany had decided absolutely full stop not to go ahead with smart meters. You indicated to me that that's actually not the full story. Could you maybe correct the misconceptions?
Yeah. First of all, Germany is conform with the EU directive. You have the option either to roll out 80% of the customers to install a smart metering system, or to conduct a cost-benefit analysis. And Germany took the second option. What's not right that we have decided not to roll out smart metering system. In contrast, I think first of all we must be aware of the fact that EY has prepared a cost-benefit analysis for the government, and the next step is that the government makes a lot of hearings with the stakeholders to understand what of the findings and recommendations they want to take over and to use in their legislation. And we are currently in the phase to discuss the findings and recommendations with all the different stakeholders, with the end consumers, with the network operators, with the manufacturers and so on. But we recommend a full-scale rollout in the long run. what we do not recommend is to roll out smart metering systems very shortly, because it's too expensive from our perspective.
Is this also because costs have been rising in Germany in terms of what consumers are paying for their electricity as well? Is this a part of the recommendation?
The prices are rising, and we have a high level of prices for the household customers, for the end customers. But on the other hand, you should know that in Germany we have a high degree of energy efficiency, and the average customer uses only 3,500 kilowatt hours per year. So he cannot really save a lot if he is using a smart metering system. And for Germany, an economical, beneficial business case for rolling out smart metering systems is to combine the different benefits smart metering systems have. First of all, that's energy saving, load shifting for the end customer. Secondly, process improvements for the suppliers, for the distribution companies, for the metering companies. Thirdly, smart metering systems should be part of the smart grid. That means you use the information from smart metering systems to improve the network business. And fourthly, you can use smart metering system as a communication unit, for example, to establish smart homes, value-added services. And only the combination of these for drivers really make a positive business case for Germany.
So, are you saying that only when all four of those cornerstones are able to be realized, that it would make sense for you to actually go ahead with the full-scale smart metering rollout?
Yeah, and that needs a segmented and a tailored approach. Because if you want to achieve the benefits regarding grid efficiency, regarding smart metering, you need really a regarding smart grids, you really need a smart metering system. That means a system which communicates with the market participants. But if you want to improve energy savings, it's enough that the end customer has access to the information, what he is using, how much money he is currently paying for using electricity. You do not need the external communication to all the market participants with all the problems which arise. That means data security, privacy, and which is quite expensive to install this communication connection.
So the benefit of doing all of this is very limited at this stage.
Yes.
For the German economy, for the customers, utilities.
It's limited, and it doesn't make sense to, for example, to install an expensive smart metering system which communicates with the entire world, let's say, for a household customer who is using 500 kilowatt hours per year.
Yeah.
Because he will never save the money he has to pay for the system. And the information from this smart metering system, from this household customer, is not helpful, useful for the network operation. It doesn't affect the stability of our network. And you have to keep in mind, Germany has decided a turnaround in energy policy. We want to exit from the use of nuclear energy and to increase the share of renewables up to 80% by 2050. That means we have to integrate a lot of decentralized generation capacity, photovoltaic on the roofs, micro GHPs and so on into the network, and that by this a lot of problems arises in the networks. And this could be handled by managing the feed-in of decentralized generation better. And for this you can also use the smart metering systems that you, for example, stop to feed in the energy from a PV roof if there's an overload in the network, for example. And we recommend in our CBA that all these households who have a bigger influence on the energy system and who could influence the energy system should have a smart metering system.
Okay, so you're addressing it more around where there are potentials for disruption as opposed to, so a part of the grid management system as opposed to shifting load or increasing energy efficiency, because you don't need to do this.
You need all of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's not your priority.
Yes, it's only a part. And you have to combine all the different things. Only then you will have a positive business case for Germany. And I guess for other countries it will be the same in the future.
Okay. Are there any other recommendations that were made in terms of the cost-benefit analysis that you'd like to share that we haven't covered already?
Yes, I think one point is important. We distinguish in our recommendation between smart metering systems and intelligent meters. The smart metering system is what I mentioned, I think before, is connected to the whole world. Everyone, not everyone, but the relevant parties have access to the information, but the intelligent meter is only to provide the household customer with the necessary information about this consumption. But important is this intelligent meter is upgradable. It must have the ability to be upgraded to a smart metering system that's defined by standards which are already in place in Germany. By this we are preventing stranded investments. That means the metering companies can install an intelligent meter today, and later, if for example, the customer uses more energy, he has bought a lot of different devices and he is now using a lot of energy. That means he becomes relevant from a network operation perspective. Then you can upgrade this intelligent meter to a smart metering system, and you don't have to replace the old system.
Okay, so basically engineering for the future, but taking your current system into account from a cost perspective, especially.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just as a matter of interest, what was the general feeling amongst the German people? Not that I'm asking you to speak on behalf of the entire nation, but what was the popular sentiment around smart metering? I mean, we've seen in a lot of countries that there has been some very negative impressions. What was the kind of sentiment in Germany like?
First of all, I think Germans are always a little bit reluctant to innovation, to new technologies. But we take this into account in our recommendations, because we said it doesn't make sense to install mandatory smart metering systems to each customer. So we believe that the resistance of the public could be managed if you say you only have a system which provides you with the necessary information, not anyone outside your house. And by this, I believe the resistance could be managed in Germany. And to be honest, it's not so important topic currently in the public opinion. We have different challenges. For example, I mentioned it, the integration of renewable energy into the systems, the subsidiaries for renewable energies that are currently more in the focus of the public media.
Yeah, because of course the subsidies for renewable energies have impacted quite drastically on the tariffs that people are currently paying. Is there any negative sentiment around renewable energy because of this, or are people accepting that if this is the way that the country is moving, that this is the price that has to be paid?
No, there's an intensive discussion going on in Germany. Let's say all political parties agree that the EEG, that's the Renewable Energy Act, who regulates the feed-in tariffs for renewable energies, has to be changed at first. It's one of the first steps if a new government has constituted, which will hopefully happen soon.
Okay. Helmut, unfortunately we've run out of time, but I wanted to thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. From the Engerati studio at European Utility Week, I'm Claire Fulkvane. Thanks very much.